Bill Cosby on the line. Bill Cosby, you there?
Yes, of course I am.
Oh, good morning, Bill.
See, there was a big mix-up. Could you stop that? And the mix-up is, I thought this was being taped, so I had to talk to some people, and your wonderful producer said, okay. Then when we came back, he said, well, they're all ready to go. I said, well, is this live or tape? And he said, no, this is live.
That sounds like our producer. Yeah.
No, it wasn't his fault, you silly person. Blamer of producers.
Well, listen, we're so happy to be talking to you this morning. I just read recently, is this true? You've just celebrated your 50th wedding anniversary?
What's wrong with that?
Well, 50 years. That's a long time.
Shut up. Now, let me tell you how you walk 1,000 miles. You know how you do that?
How do you do that?
One step at a time.
You see that?
One step at a time. She was 19 years old, and I was 26. The priest was 28. We had the 50th anniversary, and I surprised her by doing things. And you see, one thing about a wife, and perhaps even a girlfriend of many years, they will do anything you say as long as they know they're going to get a present. So she did everything she was told to do. She didn't know where she was going. She wasn't dressed properly for anything big or anything. She got in the car, and I instructed every person she came in touch with on her travel to a place she didn't know where she was going, that they were to say, I'm sorry, I don't speak English. And man, she wound up landing, and even see, we were married January 25th, so even the weather played a part, because she kept looking out of the window of the plane, which is a private plane, a single engine, so don't go crazy.
Yeah, I know. You're Bill Cosby. I get it.
In the front of the plane, and she keeps looking down, and she can't tell where because of all the snow. January 25th. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The snow is covered everything, so she doesn't know where she is. So she lands, then she sees her sister and her mother waiting for her. And she says to her sister, where am I going? And her sister says, I'm sorry, I don't speak English. and then she said to her 90-year-old mother, Mom, what is going on? And the mother said, yo no sabe. And her mother had practiced that for 3 months. So when they had the clothes and everything ready. This is for our 50th anniversary. I arrive at the church. The church we were wed on a basketball court, because the church 50 years ago was not finished, but they did a lot of things. I'm not Catholic, so they did a lot of things. And so now I'm setting up, and I've got everybody lined up in the gauntlet, cousins, sisters, brothers, relatives, nephews, nieces. And I figured the walk from opening the doors to where we are, which is across a basketball court, not from basket to basket, but across center court. I figured 40 seconds for her walk to Father Deanda, who 50 years later is 80 years old. Yeah. And the best man, Stymie, is also 80. And I'm 76 years old, 76 and 6/12 old.
Not counting, yeah.
She had no idea. She knew that this was the area of the church, but she didn't know, man. She just didn't know. And she was dressed, not in a wedding gown, just dressed very nicely. And her sister's with her, so her sister leaves her, and they present her mother, who was taking her husband's place, Camille's father's place, because he gave her to me, and he passed away. And they open the doors, and my wife sees all the sister, the brother, the nieces, the nephews, and things, and everybody's clapping for her. To be perfectly frank, I don't think she saw me at all. It took 4 minutes, not 40 seconds, for her to walk down, kissing and talking to people and hugging. And then out came the Kleenex, and she's the tears, and she walks down, and they close around her to make a semicircle, and I had them choreographed, and I had them practice as Father Deanda. We got to him. And he said, "Hello, Camille," and she was still wiping her eyes, and she says, "Hello, Father," and then she looked at me like I was a dear occupant, and she said, "Hello, Bill," and her face was wet, and she kissed me, and poor Stymie was standing there. I guess he wasn't tall enough or something, but Stymie is 80 years old now, and he wanted a chair. But he had to stand and wait for her. Mm-hmm. So she just said, "Hi, Stymie," and she went back to the father. So Father Deanda says, "Is there anyone in this group who feels that these two should not be wed? Speak up now." And I had choreographed a group, or whatever the proper word is, to say, "Too late." And then all the grandchildren and the nieces and nephews all together said, "Cha-cha-cha." And, man, it was fantastic. Now, I have no idea after that story you had something about 50 years.
Well, now my question
is one step at a time, that's all.
Now, how do you top that for the 75th anniversary? What are you going to do?
For the what?
For the 75th anniversary.
75th anniversary?
Yeah, how are you going to top that?
Stay alive. Stay alive for that was the 50th. You're asking me to go another 25 years, which would make me 100.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Actually,
let's see. First of all, it's not about the anniversary.
Okay.
It's about me.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to be clear? Am I going to be there?
Oh, if anybody's going to be there, you are, Bill. I mean,
let's not play nice
Bill.
Guy.
No,
let's play reality. We've got by that time you've got kidneys that are 90 and older. You've got livers older. You've got heart. You've got valves and things that are clogged with hot dogs, pizza, half smoke, bacon, sausage, egg whites, egg yellows. We don't know what shape we're in. Are we just sitting there and letting drool come down? Have we gone back to the brain of a 2-month-old child, but too big to put me back in the placenta?
Well, that's uplifting.
So let's just play it one step at a time.
Now, you've had quite the career, Bill, and, for a whole generation of people like myself, you've actually kind of like raised a generation of Americans. Because, I grew up with Fat Albert and the gang, learning about friendship. And, I was raised by a single parent, and the Cosby Show taught me a lot about...
Which one?
My mother.
Okay.
By my mother. And, the Cosby Show taught me so much about a family and being a family. Now, at the time, did you think that this show was going to have such an impact on a whole generation of people?
That's not even a tough question. The answer is no.
No.
All I wanted, being a father of 5 children, was to stop the madness that I was seeing on TV, where the kids in sitcoms were smarter than the parents. They had hipper punchlines. The parents had no clue of what was going on in life, and here brain-damaged kids are brighter. And I kept thinking, hey, man, these writers must hate their parents. And so I just wanted, if given the opportunity, but it was also in my routines, because there's all these ideas that I was doing in my monologues about fathering and parenting and what children say and what they don't say and what they mean and if they're telling the truth. I mean, one of my lines early on in my career in the monologue was, people say, I love children because they're so honest. And I said, that's not true. They lie from day 12. And they will look you in your face and lie. And then if you have two kids, you got two of them lying. And usually the way to judge who's lying is, whichever one comes running to you first to tell on the other one, that's the guilty one.
Now, do you think that television learned from you? Because it seems like, the Cosby Show was so successful because of that, and because of that dynamic you had. And now it seems like we're back to square one again.
I'm in the airport all the time now because we sold our private plane, and people come up to me, and we take the little photos with their phones, Mm-hmm. And they tell me, they shake my hand, men, women, all colors, out of state, out of country. Thank you so much. I've had young men like you and even younger come up and say, I watched the show and I learned a lot. And I've had parents come up and say, this is my daughter and she's so-and-so years old, and I learned to say things to her that I never could have thought of, and now she has children, and she's watching the show, and she's loving it because she's getting some lessons, and the children are laughing. So it's the ability with the Fat Alberts, with the Huxtables, to look at human beings for what they really and truly are, that there are these generational things that, if you're fortunate enough to be healthy, you will live through all three, and then in retrospect, you will see everything that you once were.
Mm-hmm. I even learned about tennis bums from I Spy.
No, you did not either, because Robert and I could not play at all. You should have seen the two of us, and in those days, we had those wooden rackets, which in our hands today, if you went back and got a racket from back in the 50s and the 60s, you'd think we were playing squash. And Bob and I went out, and neither one of us knew what we were doing at all. But that series, whenever you see it, whenever you see it, you will see a white man and a black man going all around this world, and the beauty of it is different from the movies that used to come out with a black man mm-hmm. in it. Because the funniest thing about these movies is they were supposed to help people understand racism. But here's what happened. You have all these white people in a room or someplace, and they're having a good time in the movie. They're enjoying being with each other, and then a black man walks in, and the white people stop having fun. They become angry and nasty, and then there are people who are full of apathy, and they don't know what is going on, but they just know that this black man brought all this trouble with him. And they never resolved the thing about hatred. The end of the movies generally stand there and say, all right, well, who is to blame? We know that someone is to blame, and it comes to me that, hey, man, if you just leave that man's color alone and let him walk as a man, as a human being. And that's what that wonderful Robert Culp, wonderful Sheldon Leonard, and the writers did. We played that thing in friendship and in love. And I will never forget the beauty of Robert Culp and his mind as long as I can think correctly. He was more than just the word friend.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and we talked about the impact that like Fat Albert and the Cosby Show had on family, but also I tell you, it had such a huge impact on race as well. Since you brought that up, because as a kid, as a white kid growing up in the suburbs, I'm watching Fat Albert, and it's not, hey, these are black kids. Hey, these are kids just like me. And the same thing with the Cosby Show. It's like, this is not a black family.
It's a family.
It's a family.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It is a black family.
Well, it is.
I mean, when you look, but what I've done is removed that room full of people that you're used to seeing who will react in a way like some of these politicians with Obama. I mean, they look, and all of a sudden they're being given reason to act stupidly about some things. But the point is, when you look and you take away that, when you take that away, and you say, and the people walk and they talk, and whatever it is they do, there's no feeling of somebody hating, some hate somewhere. You pay attention. And what they care about also, they care about as human beings. And so they match up. Now who carried the load in your family?
My
Paying
mother did.
the bills, buying the clothes, putting food on the table.
Yeah, my mother did, yeah.
Okay, so did mine. So we'll trade. I'll give you Annie Pearl Cosby. She's black. And you'll give me who?
I'll give you Christine Boris.
And she's white.
She is white, yeah.
Okay.
About as white as you get.
They both do the same thing.
Yeah, right. You're right.
And yesterday, Happy Mother's Day.
Absolutely.
And Happy Mother's Day to your partner.
Thanks.
Now, I have just a quick question for you, because I wish we could spend all day talking to you.
I'd be tired.
Now, who do you find funny now? Because for all these years, you made everyone laugh. Is there anyone right now that you watch on TV or the movies that makes you laugh?
Well, that's a sad thing. I don't watch.
You don't watch anything, huh?
No, but I'll tell you, I have a wonderful time. Looking at when I do my shows, and I just finished one. And what I love in my shows is to draw the men and the women, from what I'm saying, to laugh together, because that is the fun of relationship, but there's the fun of the difference. And I will say sometimes things, and I have had people say things, but I don't encourage them to yell out things. But I've had some wonderful things come from the audience that are just, they're just hilarious in what people say. And one in particular was a woman, when I was talking about labor pains being, do you have children?
I have a 3-year-old son, yeah.
And your partner?
No, I have cats.
Okay, so your Mother's Day, no wonder you responded that way. Yes, cats. I've always felt...
Hey, don't watch it.
No, I'm
very
not
protective.
watching anything.
Very protective.
I'm telling you that we had cats. And I'm telling you, they have a way of looking at you. Especially when they're in your chair.
Yes,
and
they do.
You can project a great deal of fear upon yourself because they just look right back at you.
No, they're not. They're not afraid. Hey,
no, and you don't see. You can't talk to a cat the way you talk to a dog. nobody ever looks at a cat and says sit.
They're not going to sit. That's why.
No, they do, and they have a way of slowly blinking. Like maybe they're telling you that you're boring, and go find your own chair. But anyway, your mother and my mother worked it the same way. Now, my father was an irresponsible man, and she let him get away with it. But she still cared about us. So whether you were in the suburbs or whether I was in the projects, you and I had similar situations.
And that's what it's all about.
Called a lack of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I said to the audience, and I always say it, so it won't be a surprise to the people. I don't understand comedians who come out and they say we were poor and didn't know it.
You know it.
Right away.
Bill, I wish we could talk to you all morning long. We got to take a break here for traffic, but the show's Thursday night at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center.
It's a benefit,
and it's going to be a 12-hour show.
Not with me. You two guys can come on and bring your cats, and you show people how how many cats have you?
I have cats. Yeah.
How many?
I have one right now.
One cat.
Well, my other one passed away.
It's a long story, though. We don't want to go into a dark story.
But bring your cat out and show us some cat tricks.
There you go. We'll do that for the second half of the show.
All right.
Bill,
Take care.
Thanks so much.